On this week's episode, we talk about Benedict Cumberbatch's new film, The Courier.
Yes, and as always, all the pop culture news. So, we just saw the brand new The Courier with Benedict Penguin Cumberbatch.
Who, already has the most obnoxiously obscure British name possible. And in this one, at least I thought it was, but this one he plays the role of one Greville Wynn. That's right, Greville Wynn. They found a name weirder than Benedict Cumberbatch.
True.
And cast him to play it. I thought that was very
Well,
funny.
I don't know. The guy, when at the end of the movie, this is based on a true story, and so at the end of the movie, at the credits, we see, right before the credits, we see a short clip of footage of the real guy. The guy looked ethnic from, I would say, I don't know. Don't you think so?
No.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe because he was bald.
Yeah.
But he looked like someone that could be from either, I don't know, Latino or Arabic, or he doesn't for instance, he doesn't look like Benedict Cumberbatch, which is not a problem. But if anything, he looks more, for me personally, I thought he looked more like the other character, the main character, Alex. You know, I don't know, maybe because they both kind of bald or balding.
Yeah.
Anyways. Spoiler alert. But, so, yeah. And because of the name and the way he looked, I was like, maybe he's an immigrant. And, you know, you don't think so?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Greville
Wynn?
Wynn.
I mean, it could be second generation.
Well, he didn't sound it. It didn't come up on his Wikipedia page at all.
Yeah, so he is full on British.
Yeah.
He just look.
Again.
Okay.
Greville Wynn. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so Benedict Cumberbatch is the star. He works with Rachel Brosnahan of, what is it? The Marvelous Miss... Anyway, she's got this great show on Amazon Prime that is on my list to watch.
Oh, she has more than one. She does, yeah. She has a new one that I also want to see. It's something about a woman. No, the name is.
Oh, okay.
It's like, I'm a woman, fighting woman, something like great woman. Yeah, it looks good.
Cool.
I don't know if that's a show, it's a movie. Anyways.
Okay. So Rachel Brosnahan, and then an actor who I don't think I've seen him in anything. He seems to do a lot in Russian cinema. His name is Merab Ninidze.
Oh, so he is Russian.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Or at least from that part of the world.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of movies that I can't pronounce or even read the titles of. Anyway, so that's our main cast. And this tells the mostly true story?
Mostly?
Well, it's hard to say because this is a Cold War spy story, and there seems to be some there's just a lot of obfuscation around the details. Greville, when he wrote, so the main character Greville wrote a couple of autobiographies later in life, but some of his details conflict with other reports and other stories. So,
of course, dealing with the government, they're not gonna say, "Oh, everything this guy said is true." It's especially because we're gonna learn since we're gonna talk a little bit more about the story at the end. The character suffered, and maybe the government didn't do enough to end his suffer quickly. Anyways.
Yeah. Okay. So we have our Greville Wynn, who's this British salesman.
Before you get into that, keywords, Cold War, Spies. It's it's one of the great moments in history to tell fun,
so
entertaining stories.
Yeah.
And in this case, this is a true story. Which remind, before we get into the story, it reminded me a lot. This is a British. It's about this guy that turns to be a British spy, and helped a lot for during the Cold War to avoid very feared nuclear holocaust, the nuclear war that would destroy mankind. It's quite similar to, in that one I don't remember if it's true or not, but it's very similar to this movie we saw of Tom Hanks called Bridge of Spies.
Yes, that is a true one, I think.
That's true. Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so the premise is the same, but Tom Hanks is the American version, and Cumberbatch do the British version. And by version, I mean the original character on this story was British, and the original character on the Bridge of Spies, directed by Spielberg, really good. Is American. So the premise is the same. These guys are really good salesmen.
Yeah, and that's what Cumberbatch or Wynn, he does, and especially he does a lot of business in Eastern Europe, like Ukraine and things like that. And he sells like industrial type things, like machines for factories, all this stuff. And so when a big time like upper level Soviet official reaches out to MI6 and says, "Hey, I've got stuff that I want to tell," or no, he reaches out to the American embassy. He reaches out to the Americans and says, I'm terrified of the direction our nation is going, and I want to help end this nuclear disaster before it starts. They work with MI6 and reach out to Wynn to contact this guy.
Okay, so these are the Khrushchev years, you know.
Yeah,
it's like,
1960 is when it starts.
Yeah, in the 60s. And if you know a little bit of history, you know the Khrushchev brought missiles to Cuba, and there was like a critical moment because, wait, I guess we're gonna start war. You know?
Yeah, this is a point where like the tension is escalating. Like things are like kind of okay after World War II, and then it's just... at one point we see the moment when the Berlin Wall goes up overnight, so things are going from bad to much worse very quickly. People are like building fallout shelters and doing like nuclear drills at schools and things like that. So that's the historical background.
Yeah, just to historically point us to the moment, you know, Cold War, good versus evil, East, West versus East, America, Soviet Union, and then Khrushchev was really going crazy. He's like, okay, let's put missiles, nuclear weapons in Cuba.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, and that's not even where the movie begins. The movie begins before that.
Yeah.
And this guy was already like, oh man, this is not gonna end well. And this guy, we learned that he's a family man. He's married.
Penkovsky. Oleg Penkovsky is his name.
Penkovsky. And did they keep the real names?
Yeah.
Okay. So Oleg Penkovsky, that becomes Alex. Yeah. He's already concerned, you know. He's a patriot. He believes in the revolution. But what Khrushchev...
Decorated war hero.
Yes.
He's given everything for his country.
And there's even a scene in the beginning where his daughter gets the
party pin.
Yeah, commendation at school. And so he believes that could turn out to be a good thing. But when Khrushchev takes over and let's destroy the American imperialist, he realizes like that's not good. So
Yeah, so he reaches out to, he sees a couple of American like college students, and he hands them a package. He says, I need you to take this to your embassy. And it turns out to be a kind of a coded cryptic message saying like, I've got information for you. And it turns out he does. He's got really good information because they say he's GRU. I had no idea what that was, so I looked it up. That's the Soviet military's equivalent of like military intelligence. So the CIA, represented by Rachel Brosnahan, her character is Emily Donovan. So she reaches out to MI6 because at this point the CIA doesn't have a lot on the ground in Moscow, but MI6 does. So she reaches out to MI6 and says, okay, this is a huge opportunity. How do we take advantage of it? And they settle on this plan to recruit a civilian a businessman to act as like a go-between, so that
someone above suspicion.
Yeah, someone the KGB is not going to be watching too closely.
Even though they watch everybody.
Yeah.
All the time.
And they do a really great job of that in the movie. Like the first time Wynn goes to Moscow, like everybody just stares at him. You know, cute little ladies like knitting and people on the train, everybody's staring at him, and it really drives home like the paranoia and this idea like everybody's KGB.
Everybody is an eye of the state.
Yeah. So cinematically, well done. Yeah, so they reach out to him and say, at first it's just a business proposal, and they say, oh yes, I'm work with the Ministry of Trade or whatever, and what do you think about going to Moscow? And he goes, oh no, I'm not gonna go sell in Moscow. It's too risky, too complicated.
Maybe when things get better.
Yeah. And as they continue to talk, it becomes clear that they're not with the Ministry of Trade, and they don't want him to do business. And at first he's just like, no, this is dangerous and crazy, and no way. But they convince him that he'll be safe. He's just going to be a courier, just carrying messages back and forth. He won't know what's in them. The KGB wouldn't suspect him, and even if they did, they couldn't like pin anything on him because he'll know nothing. And so eventually he relents and agrees.
Yeah, so he starts going to Moscow, become friends with Oleg, and they start doing business together. And Oleg approaches him and says, "Hey, you work for them, right? You work for the Americans." And the British is like, "Yeah." So he starts sending messages through him. And the messages arrive, and it's really good intel for the British intelligence, for the American intelligence. So he keeps going, and then he brings the Russians to
London.
To London, keep doing business. So everything is going fine.
Yeah. In fact, he's doing gangbusters. We find out in the little like epilogue at the end of the movie, they managed to pass something like 5,000 documents.
5,000 documents.
And like really amazing stuff, including.
Photographic evidence.
Yeah, photographs and all this stuff of Khrushchev's plans to escalate the conflict and to embiggen Russia's nuclear or the Soviet Union's nuclear armory, but then also putting missiles in Cuba, and that's when things really start to escalate and the urgency picks up.
And one thing we learn, at least we really learned from the movie, is that the Khrushchev was crazy, was suicidal to the point that in a conversation, Oleg tells Wynn, what's his name? First name?
Greville.
Tells Greville that the Soviet arsenal is inferior. So
that's right.
They're not gonna win. So it is a suicide, crazy delusions of a dictator.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And as their working relationship continues, you see them start to build like a lot of respect and even affection for each other. Like they really care about each other as friends. They care about each other's families, and they want very much to have a safer world for their kids. Greville has a son. Oleg has a daughter. They're about the same age, and they really connect. They really connect over this.
And there's one when Oleg Alex visit Greville. Greville's home in England. Greville's kid asks about, so it's like, are you a communist? Are you a bad guy? Why do you hate us? And then he talks about it's not about the people. It's like the politicians hate each other, and the people get caught into this crossfire.
Yeah.
But like me and your father, two men can change things, you know. And that's what the main thing in the movie. They work together to try to, if maybe not change, to avoid the worst.
Yep. So they and things are going well, and Greville is actually like kind of enjoying it. He's all like pumped full of adrenaline. He's like working out all the time, and things are going great until they're not. And Oleg decides it's like, this is it. It's time for me it's time for me to defect and get my family to safety. And so they tell Greville, like, all right, thanks so much, you're done. And because the KGB is starting to get suspicious, and this is where that friendship is really put to the test, because the MI6 is ready to say, like, okay, we can't, or let's see, I'm skipping important details.
No, well, what's skipping?
KGB starts looking closer at Penkovsky.
Yeah, we learned that after after everything goes bad, that KGB got close to him and they poisoned him.
Yeah, which, oh man, KGB gives you bootleg cigarettes. Anyway, they poison Penkovsky. They cancel a trip of his to London, and he realizes, like, okay, this is it. And MI6 is ready to say, like, okay, it's done. Like, he's stuck in Moscow. We can't get him out. We can't get his family out. We've just got to walk away. And Greville says, like, no, I'm gonna go back to get him. Like, this is it. And Emily Donovan, Rachel Brosnahan's character, says she's CIA. She's like, okay, I'll help you. So they come up with this plan to get Penkovsky out.
And his family.
Yeah, Penkovsky and his family out. And Penkovsky, all he wants is he wants to defect and go to Montana and be a cowboy. Just, oh, sweet. It actually reminded me of in Hunt for Red October, which is fiction, but one of the Russian officers does the same thing, almost exactly the same thing. He wants an RV, and he wants to, like, raise rabbits and drive around. He's like, you can cross state lines without any documents. You can just drive. And so he wants an RV, and he wants to go to the American West. I'm like, anyway.
So the whole plan fails because the KGB is already suspicious of Oleg Penkovsky,
and they have a source in MI6. We see very briefly.
Yeah, and then they bust the whole plan. So they arrest Penkovsky, they arrest
Greville
when he's flying. He's in the actual airplane, ready to take off, and then they go and get him out, and they arrest both. And that for me was a surprise in the movie. I would not expect that there would be. I thought it was a whole spy thing, even based on true story. I thought it would be successful, and in this case, it's not. They both arrested, and they go to all sorts of tortures, but they resist.
They do. So at this point, we kind of lose Penkovsky, and it stays with Greville.
And based on another scene in the movie, based on another spy that was captured, we would assume that he would be killed right away.
Yeah.
Which was not the case. They actually kept him alive because they stick to their story. On Greville's side, he was saying, it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
I just deliver messages, packages for my friend, and I do this all the time for all my customers.
Yeah, it's like, I'm a salesman. I want to make him happy. If I'm delivering a package, whatever.
I had no idea it was something bad. I thought it was, letters, candy, whatever. I just delivered them. I had no idea. So he stick to the story, and he suffered to torture. They take away. They gave him awful stuff to eat, and then they take away the food, and they gave him awful place to sleep, and they take away the place to sleep.
Yeah.
But he resists to the point that time passes, and we see one Benedict Cumberbatch, like, completely changed.
Yeah, just like real thin. You can tell, like, malnourished and everything else, but he's stuck. And after all the humiliation, the degradation, the misery of all of it, like, he's sticking to his story, and not saying anything to incriminate himself or Penkovsky. He's still really loyal to this guy.
And one of the climatic moments is, before the climatic moments, the wife comes to visit him.
Yeah.
And then the wife talks about home and everything, and then she talks about how Khrushchev took the missiles out of Russia.
Out of Cuba.
Out of Cuba. The Russian missiles out of Cuba.
Yeah.
And then he was like, it's like, what? And then the guy said, don't talk about that. and then they talk a little bit more, and she leaves. So he has like important knowledge that gives them. It's like, hey, everything I suffering at that point, we don't know if Penkovsky is alive.
Yeah.
But it's like everything we suffering for was worth it. We stopped this big thing.
Yeah, and can you imagine, at that point, I didn't realize there's another element, I guess, to his suffering. Like, he didn't know if Penkovsky or Penkovsky's family was going to be okay. He didn't know, I guess he probably imagined that horrible things had happened to them. He had no idea what was happening in the outside world, beyond the fact that he hadn't been wiped out in a nuclear apocalypse. So, like, it's suffering all that. He had no idea if any of it had been worth it until, that moment. And so we see him back up. She says it's going to take a while longer to get you out. And we see people on the other side, the diplomatic side, trying to figure out how to rescue him. Like, full on rescue, like, guns ablazing wouldn't work. They want to do a prisoner exchange, but if they send a Russian prisoner back to Russia who's too valuable, it would send the message that Wynn actually was a spy, and that might put Wynn in danger, and so it's a really difficult situation on either side, and so he ends up having to stay in prison for like another year. So after another like 18 months, 2 years in prison, he finally gets dragged back to the interrogation room where he meets Penkovsky, who's still alive.
Who also is like really lost weight. He
just
looks destroyed. The same same types of torture, but at least he's alive. I thought, like, we would assume he would be dead right away, but no, he's still alive. And they have a conversation, and then Penkovsky tells him that's like, I'm sorry, my friend, I told them that I was sending this and that, incriminating documents, intelligence about the Russian nuclear weapons to you, and I'm really sorry. But then Benedict Cumberbatch, Greville, Wynn, tells him,
Oh, wait, before that, Penkovsky made it clear in his confession that Greville had no idea.
Yes.
He had no point said anything to turn.
And he did, even though he knew he was carrying those documents, he had no idea what they actually were.
Right.
To the point that there was one moment that back in the movie, back a little bit in time, that when he talking to CIA and the MI6 agents, and they mentioned that it's like, what is this? What am I doing? It's like nuclear. They say nuclear weapons, like nuclear wars. Like, you gotta be kidding me. So he had no idea the
He
scale.
didn't know the details. Yeah, he didn't know the scale, but he did know what he was doing.
Yeah. He didn't know exactly where it was. But then when the wife told him, and that the Khrushchev took the missiles out, and then he tells Oleg and hold his hand. It's like, Oleg, you did it. You stopped them. What you did was not worthless. And it's a big moment, because these men were like, like drops in the ocean. They had no idea that their work would actually be worth it.
Yeah. And so in that moment, Penkovsky finally gets to know that what he sacrificed, his family, his country, everything else was worth it, and it worked. And of course, the KGB runs in and drags out Wynn as soon as he starts telling him all that. And we don't see Penkovsky again, but finally, after years in this horrible prison, the UK finally succeeds in getting Greville Wynn out and getting him back home. Just physically decimated, but back in his home with his wife, with his son, and able to get back to his life.
Yeah, we then learned that he kept living and working as his business worked until he passed away in 1990. But he definitely saw the fruits of his work, with the end of the Cuban Missile Crisis, and eventually with the end of Cold War. You know, the wall being destroyed.
The wall coming down, yeah.
And but Penkovsky dies. He
was executed. His family was allowed to live.
Yeah, he pledged for his family, and his family lived. And if living in that situation, they probably had to deny him and call him a traitor and all that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But so he's executed and buried in an unmarked grave, and we only know this story because of the free world side telling. Otherwise we would never know what this guy did, and it was good.
Yeah, I felt the movie on the whole was really solid. There were no critics. They told the story well.
Small cast. The story was told. Not a big cast. I mean, big by numbers. But they did a really great job to tell this Cold War story of two, I mean mostly one man that he did fight the war. I mean he did serve during the war. He didn't actually fought, but a regular man that helped in that terrible situation.
So on the whole I definitely would recommend it.
Yes. So the Courier, it's available. It's on the theaters everywhere. If you have a chance, go watch it.
Yes.
Benedict Cumberbatch and Brosnahan, what's her name?
Rachel Brosnahan. And another man whose name I can't pronounce.
And some Russian people.
But who's a really good actor.
But it's really good. The movie is really good. It is, The wife was good too.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen her in
She's
something.
weirdly familiar.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll look that up real quick.
Maybe because she has hair and eyes and mouth.
Yes, she has a face.
Yeah.
That rings some bells.
But yeah.
Let's see if I can find her real quick. Is that her?
She's red hair?
Yep.
Yeah, she's in some movies we want to see, but we didn't see yet.
Oh, she's in Chernobyl.
Yeah.
That's where we've seen her. I think she's the wife of that first fireman.
Okay.
At the very beginning.
Yes, I think
that's
you're
who
right.
she is. Yep.
Okay.
Whew, okay, glad we solved that mystery. IMDb.
Courier, available on movie theaters everywhere. If they're open, go watch it.
Yes.
It's worth it.
All right, so that's that new movie. Let's talk about some other movies that are still in the pipeline. Release dates have been pushed back again.
So Disney announced this big change for everything, or basically a lot of things. It's supposed to come soon, and it's gonna be a little farther down the road. Yeah,
which is frustrating. So the first one, this is a new Marvel movie, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
I don't know if in America he was known as this, but in Brazil he was published as Mestre de Kung Fu, which it means translates as Master of Kung Fu. I don't know. I never actually read him there or here. So, but the name of the character is Shang-Chi. I don't know if Master of Kung Fu is a title.
Yeah.
A guy here.
I have no idea.
It's an Asian initiative for Marvel Studios and Marvel Universe. This Asian hero. They use martial arts and fight bad guys. And what's the name of the movie? The Legend?
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
And if you know the Ten Rings, connected to the Mandarin.
That's right.
And Iron Man. So it's it's MCU will be somehow connected. But this one is fully or extremely Asian, which is always good because it gets the China market, which it's what everybody wants.
It's a lot of money. Well, either way, it's going to be coming out on September 3rd of this year. And then Black Widow is coming out on its original premiere date, July 9th.
Original premiere was last year.
No, I mean, so the Legend of the Ten Rings was supposed to be July 9th.
Oh, okay.
It's pushed to September. Yeah. Black Widow is now taking over its previous date.
And Black Widow will be available on Disney Plus.
Yes.
For all subscribers for free. No, I'm kidding.
No.
Disney. Greedy would not allow that.
No, they're still doing the Premier Access thing. I don't know how Raya and the Lost Dragon is doing with that. Like if people are watching it on Disney Plus, or if they're going to the theater.
I mean, I'd
rather go to the theater, frankly.
I'm pretty sure people would pay for it, but I'm pretty sure it's not doing that great because Mulan, there was a big one. It wasn't that great. It was a fail. So, if
Mulan
anything,
also didn't get good reviews either. Like besides the whole Premier Access, almost everyone I know who saw it was like,
I know, but I mean, it's before you see the movie, you know, so you pay to see the movie.
Well, yeah.
So after the reviews, like, I got paid for that. But before you see the movie, you know, I don't think Raya, what's it called? Raya. I don't think Raya would be that big of a deal. I think the next big hope for the Disney studios to, you know, maybe make sense. Or maybe make some money off this whole, we're gonna give you access to this movie on the subscription you already pay. If you pay more, that will be Black Widow. But I still think that people go to the theaters. I don't think
given the choice,
it will be the big deal too.
Yeah.
Because even if you have a big screen, it's still not theater.
The same.
You know, and of course, after the movie is out of the theaters. Sure, you know, you're gonna watch on your small or big screen because there's no options. You know, a movie doesn't say in the movie theater forever. You know, like for instance, Zack Snyder, Justice League, 4 hours. If it was in the movies, we would be there. You know, more than once. But HBO Max kept on the streaming services at least for now. Maybe in the future.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. All right, Free Guy. This is the Ryan Reynolds video game, sort of.
It looks fun.
So fun.
Reynolds said that is probably one of his favorite works.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And but postponed again.
Yes, August 13th is the new date, and The King's Man, which just feels like a dream at this point, is supposed to come out now on December 22nd. Will it? I don't know.
Yeah, and it's like for movies like with potential of sequels, it makes so much harder and almost impossible for sequels to happen because you're pushing like, you know, anything could happen from like someone in the cast dying to someone in the cast deciding
just moving on
to you know, and it's like I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see.
So
Either way.
Kingsman is part of this is a comic. It's an adaptation of a comic book, and is part of this series. Already have 3. This will be the third. This will be the third, with potential for more because it's really fun. It's really good. But with like pushing that, like, you know. Yeah,
it might just get pushed
makes
too
it
far.
harder.
It does.
Not impossible, but super harder.
Deepwater has been pushed to January 14th of 2022, and Death on the Nile, which is another Agatha Christie, right?
Book adaptation, yeah.
Hercule Poirot. That's been pushed to February 11th of 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Cruella is coming the same day as Black Widow, though, apparently.
But only on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It's a Disney Plus exclusive. It will not go to the theaters.
Oh, okay.
It's not like premium that you pay for. This one's
all right.
Yeah, it was always a Disney Plus exclusive, original, whatever they call it.
So that's what's happening with movies. Survivor has survived.
Survivor's finally back in production. Yeah.
In Fiji.
As they've been doing for like several years now.
I didn't really need to say that.
It's their favorite place, and there might be some tax breaks, incentives, and they have the whole production set there.
They have like relationships now too. Like, yeah.
You know, it's like going to Hawaii to shoot Lost or to shoot Hawaii 5-0. You know, you're doing that for so long that we sat here. There's no reason to go anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, especially if you're already in some place like Hawaii or Fiji.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's season 41 that they're working on. In addition, still in television, Mr. Mayor. This is the comedy. It's produced by Tina Fey, right?
Yes, created, produced by Tina Fey and Robert Carlock.
starring
since 30 Rock.
Oh yeah. And anyway, it's been renewed for a second season, which I am so happy about because the show is freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
And Holly Hunter is killing it. We knew Ted Danson was funny. Like this was well established, but Holly Hunter is just what a revelation. The woman's fantastic. I love the show. So we're getting at least one more season of that on NBC.
Yes.
Okay, Mike Tyson is getting some love. He's getting a limited series about him.
Yeah, another biopic for Tyson. This time with Jamie Foxx in the main role.
Which I think makes a lot of sense. I can see that
easily,
I think.
Yeah. I mean,
he's proving his acting chops, but like...
Yeah, in fact, if Foxx acts pretty well. And yeah, they with the proper acting makeup, he can look and act like him.
Yeah. Yep, so that'll be fun. Well, I don't know. As fun as a man who bites people's ears off can be.
Yeah, there's the whole rape thing. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Fun was the wrong word. What will be fun is a new Zatanna movie or series? Is Zatanna getting a movie?
Yes, it's a movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Emerald Fennell is tapped to write it for Bad Robot and Warner Brothers. If you don't recognize her name, you are not alone. But we have seen her most recently as Camilla in...
Oh, and she's hitting big the awards circuit. She's nominated for a movie Precious. Something girl.
Somebody young woman.
Promising Young Woman.
Yes, Promising Young Woman.
Yes.
Yeah, so we've seen her acting and now she's writing and stuff like that. So I'm pretty excited about this. She was Camilla in The Crown. She had a leading role on Call the Midwife for a while. Those were probably her two biggest parts.
Acting, right?
Acting-wise, yeah.
She's like,
But yeah, directing / writing, she's getting some love from the award circuit. So I'm excited to see her do Zatanna. Really just anybody doing Zatanna, but her especially. That'll be great. Okay, that was Warner Brothers. Now let's go to HBO. And A Time to Kill is getting a sequel.
Sequel series, yeah.
Oof.
And Matthew McConaughey is associated as involved. And the series book, the sequel book is fairly new, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, it's A Time to... You
didn't.
It's A Time to
Time to live?
heal.
Oh, Time to heal.
I don't know.
That would be
Maybe
nice.
it's something completely different. But yeah, he released a book not long ago, we even mentioned here. But HBO is already acquiring the rights to make a show.
A Time to Kill was a hard movie to watch, but it was really well done.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, like I don't ever want to see it again.
Everybody involved was terrific.
Yeah. It's pretty spectacular.
Sandra Bullock, McConaughey, Blatt, Spacey, Jackson. Oh yeah, of course, Samuel Jackson. Yeah. Yes.
He's All right. Another book deal for HBO. George R.R. Martin has signed a 5-year overall deal with HBO, which means HBO is going to get half a book maybe.
Which brings me, it's 5 years. They pretty ambitious to hope that he's going to be alive for 5 more years.
I wasn't even thinking about that. Just is he going to write it? Is he going to finish anything new? Because isn't that kind of his reputation? He's taking a very long time.
But when he delivers, But that's the other thing is if they're gonna get original from him, they're gonna straight for him. So you're gonna put him on a time schedule. It's there's another episode. Come on, we don't have 2 years. Yeah.
Well, we'll see. Either way, that relationship.
Yeah, the way he does books,
contractually.
the way he does books, and the way he does movies and TV is different because he started his career doing film, so he knows what to do. And my concern was that he's gonna be alive to fulfill his contract obligations.
We shall see. We shall hope, and we shall see. Last but not least, Ghost of Tsushima is
the hit video game.
Yeah, which looks amazing. Amazing. It's at the top of the list of if I had time to commit, I would play this game. That one's at the top of the list.
Yeah.
followed closely by all the Assassin's Creed. Most of anyway.
I mean,
this game looks amazing.
She still has to finish Last of Us. And,
the first one.
Yeah, the first one, and there's a show coming. Which there wasn't the news too this past week that some of the producers creators said that some episodes are gonna deviate a lot from the movie from the game, which is okay. As long as the big plot twist, and they have some big plot twists, would be the same. I guess they could deviate a lot in other aspects. You could see different things about the fireflies, about the hunters, about all that. But yeah, considering that there's still Last of Us on the list, and Last of Us 2.
Realistically, will I ever get to play it? I don't know. But the game looks incredible, stunning, incredible stories. Everything I've heard has been good, and now it's getting a movie.
Is it a movie or show?
Is it a movie?
I don't know.
Movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I hope they do well with all these things. There's like Uncharted, Ghost of Tsushima, and Last of Us. What else? There's more. I think there's one for wasn't
there an Assassin's Creed series?
Assassin's Creed series that will be animation for Netflix. But there's one for I can't remember the clowns. Twisted Metal. So all those video games are getting a movie, film, television treatment, which is the next step on the narrative evolution. So we went to books, and it took a long time, but we finally went to comic books, and to go to video games would be the next step. And things like what Snyder...
You mean like a source material for...
Yeah. And things like Snyder did to Justice League for hours. It's a good step towards a video game narrative that it takes a while. It's like some games take 60 hours to finish. And if you get the actual playing part, I don't know, 30 hours, 20 hours. Let's say 20 hours is still a lot to tell.
Big stories.
In 2 hours. So you either have to be incredible telling a story, or franchise and make multiple, or make longer productions, which, if you make it, they will watch.
They will. And this is like a big project to take.
Especially
it's a John Wick director.
Especially if streaming, it's something that I didn't have, years in the past, but now we do.
Well, either way, Ghost of Tsushima is a huge project to take on. Yeah, John Wick director Chad
Stahelski. Yeah.
Either way, Chad is taking on the Stahelski.
Yeah, and the guy knows action. He does action pretty well.
Yeah, so we did both with John Wick, so we'll see what he does with this, but I'm excited.
Yeah, before we go, the Winter Soldier and the Falcon, all, aka known as sidekicks. That should be the name of the show. So yeah, unless they, I don't know, maybe in the end they're gonna make a Falcon, because Falcon Captain America, but the first thing he did was gave up the shield. Anyways, but both characters in the books eventually became Captain America, not at the same time. But yeah, the show premiered on Disney. We saw a couple episodes, and it's fun.
I think it's good.
It's starting really slow. We finally starting to get to know the antagonists and the issues, but long episodes, short series. We'll see. Someone said in the past, before the show actually premiered, that this one would be like a 6 parts of 50 minutes. So it's more or less 6 hours. Someone said it would be like a 6-hour film, and it kind of makes sense, because right now in the beginning is like introducing characters slowly. The problems are like very minimum, so maybe it will turn out to be like this. So in that case, will be the end will be like, climax action, and who knows.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
But yeah, I guess that's it for this week. We'll see you next week when we're going to talk more about movies, pop culture, TV, cinema. We eventually going to see, or maybe you already saw.
You'll never know.
Nobody. And you're going to talk about Nobody in the next episodes. But For now, that's it. May the force be with you.
Live long and prosper.
Bye.
Bye.